All right, folks. There we go. Okay, thanks everybody for your patience. Good afternoon on this kind of cold, blustery Monday, March the 12th for today's telehealth session. We've got a great group of speakers today that we'll tell you about in just a moment. So thank you for taking the time and being here. My name is Frank Chalet. I'm on the board of directors of the Parkinson's Resource Center. And so I'd like to welcome all of you and certainly all our folks at the remote sites for joining us, and for the many communities out there that are making telehealth a successful program. I'd like to, as always, thank our sponsors, first and foremost, Northwest Telehealth and Tim Braun joining us today for producing today's program. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. And our host, St. Luke's Rehab Center, for providing us the site here, as always. And, of course, we always like to thank our partners in Seattle, Northwest Parkinsons, for helping us bring this program to all of you, and Albertsons for their ongoing generosity, and the PRC Board of Directors, staff, and our volunteers for being here each and every month. So thank you for that. As always, you that are part of the normal group, you know the protocol. We asked that you hold your questions until the very end of the program. And also, if you would turn off your microphones in the remote sites at this point in time, so the speakers can have leeway to do their program as planned. And again, as always, at the end, we'll do the Q&A by site, and if you would provide the number in attendance, we would appreciate that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce today's speakers. Really pleased to have two with us today, Terry Grizzell and Ingrid VaAAnrooy. Thank you. I was working on that last name a little bit. Terry is a dance instructor for Parkinson's, is involved with our dance program for the Parkinson's group. And Ingrid is a PT, a physical therapist, and she works with Brighton Rehab and Avalon Care Center. And today they're going to talk about the topics of dance and exercise and related things. So please join me in welcoming Terry and Ingrid. Thank you for being here.
Okay, and I'd like to thank all those people too, I can't remember all of them, for inviting me to come and tell my story about dance for patients with Parkinson's, which I'm always really excited about. My story is about getting involved with dance for patients with Parkinson's through the Mark Morris Dance Group. And this is a professional dance company in New York. And they teamed up with the Brooklyn Parkinson's Group back in 2001 and began to do some research around how dance affected the population of patients with Parkinson's. And they had very positive results and began to develop a program which is now an international program. It's all over the world in countries Scotland, England, Italy has a program, the Netherlands, and then several different cities in the United States. And I'm very proud to be able to bring that program here to Spokane, to our local population. And it's grown a lot. We started about 3 years ago, 2009. I had gone down the fall before to see a performance of the Mark Morris Dance Group of their Romeo and Juliet at UC Berkeley. And was just surprised to see that this whole new program had started. And I was inspired and motivated and came back and said, I'm going to do that in Spokane. So I thought I would start, and just before we watch a DVD, we're going to watch a DVD presentation because I love this presentation by the Mark Morris Dance Group and the Brooklyn Parkinson's Group. He just took it away, but I think Tim knows what he's doing. Anyways, but I thought I would talk a little bit about just, the program here in Spokane. We meet every first and third Saturday at Gonzaga University in their dance department. They have a beautiful dance studio that just is basically the perfect facility for this program. And that happens at 11 o'clock and we dance, we do exercises and dance for about an hour and 15 minutes, and then we finish with what my favorite part of the program is always the heart circle, where we give gratitude and blessings to everybody who comes to participate. So that happens first and third Saturday, Gonzaga University at the Dance Studio. I don't have the address. It's really easy to get there. I know that. And it's at the junction of Pearl and DeSmit. So we can definitely help anybody who would like to know the directions and the address for that to be able to get you to come. I really encourage people who have never experienced this to come and try one time, because it's a little infectious. You kind of like to stay and come back again, and it just takes a little bit of effort to get there on Saturday. And then once you're involved in it, I guarantee you'll enjoy it and you will come back. The class is about, we spend the first 40 minutes of the class in a circle of chairs, and we do exercises that are stretching exercises and exercises which increase flexibility, combinations of rhythm, etc., all combined to prepare us for a little more work in the center, where we then, when we come into the center, move the chairs out of the way and we start to do dance combinations and movements. Very simple dance combinations that we in order to build confidence and to help the dancers through practice be able to feel like they are comfortable with those movements and those dance combinations. It's a lot of fun. We have a good time, and everybody is welcome to come the first time, even if you've never been there, because we integrate everybody into that process, and everybody helps one another out, even if you're a beginner. Okay? So, what I'd like to do before we see the DVD is they have created 10 reasons why dance for PD, and that's what you're going to be seeing in the DVD, in the video presentation. So I just want to go over all 10 of those. I won't say much about them because really we'd rather watch the DVD than hear me repeat those over again. But the first one is dance breaks isolation. I know that's my favorite. That to me is the most heartwarming and reinforcing part of this whole program of dance for patients with Parkinson's, because it brings a community together out of a situation where there are periods of isolation that create this sort of I think a feeling, a sensation of being alone out there, as opposed to coming and experiencing the community, to reinforce that there are others who are going through this as well, and to celebrate that through the art of dance. So it's my favorite. Dance develops flexibility, strength, and coordination. Third one is dance is first and foremost a stimulating mental activity that connects mind to body. And I have some students here today, and they can definitely speak to that. How you have to think about what you're doing before you do it, and then practice that over. And the more you practice, the easier it becomes. Fourth is dance invokes imagery in the service of movement. So I try to integrate some sort of storyline with each class so that we have an exercise which is a literal translation of a story. So we tell a story with the movement. Fifth is dance focuses attention on eyes, ears, and touch as tools to assist in movement and balance. So, being able to coordinate all of our resources, our physical and mental resources, in order to make it happen. 6, dance increases awareness of where all parts of the body are in space. And one of the things that I haven't incorporated or integrated in our classes much at this point, and I will continue to use that more, is some improvisation, so that my students can have an opportunity to take the vocabulary that we practice all the time and be able to project their own interpretation of movement. So we'll be doing more improvisation. I promise that. And then 7, dance communicates feelings and tells stories. 8, dance engages mind and spirit. And I really emphasize spirit because it helps to raise your spirits to be involved in this community activity. And the basis of dance is rhythm. We practice rhythm a lot. There are a lot of associated exercises and combinations that reinforce that practice of rhythm because you incorporate that in the dance movement at all. These are all words. You'll see more in the DVD exactly how they're projected through movement in dance. And last, and I've been dancing since I was 16, which was a few years ago, the essence of dance is joy. And it's always been a joyful experience for me, and I hope that I can create that as an instructor, but that is infectious, I think, in the dance class. So without further ado, has that ever been said before? Oh, yeah, millions of times. We will continue with the presentation, and this is a DVD from that was created by the dancers of the Mark Morris Dance Group and the Brooklyn Dance Group. So enjoy. How are we doing, Tim?
We're waiting for the technology here. There we go.
Okay. And I don't have to do anything, but I'm going to leave it up to you.
Are you coming back after the...
Uh-huh. I'm not going anywhere. When I first saw this DVD, and it was created because there are so many different sites that that these classes have developed, that they felt like that this would be one tool to bring all of those different locations around the world together. And I think we're ready to go.
This is a dance class for a very specific population of people with Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease, one of the symptoms is that it limits mobility. What is the opposite of limited mobility? Dance, moving beautifully. And that's what this class is. It's a dance class. It's the opposite of limited mobility.
Every week we come together and we have this experience together, and there is something, a ritual about it, which is a ritual of community and movement and exploration.
Williams' very diverse selection of music taps into everyone's little nooks and crannies of what makes them feel good at different periods of our lives, so we bring those back. That opens it up, as well as this supportive environment. They all just go for it. Also, just the feeling of when you move, you feel better.
Is actually one of the simplest, and that is at the beginning of the class, these guys often will tell the folks to sit up and to use good posture and get their shoulders back. And actually, that's a striking, remarkable change that's taken place over the years, is just in the ability to kind of sit up and have good posture, which seems inconsequential, but it's a huge difference.
feel more limber. I feel like I have some confidence in the way I move.
My physical therapist says that she notices that my balance is better, my flexibility is better after the class than before the class.
I think I sort of walk with this more proud walk.
Feet parallel on the floor. We always start class pushing our hips down into the chair, lifting our ribs up off of our hips, shoulders rolling back, head ascending, lifting to the ceiling, shoulders dropping. Releasing the arms. 5, 6, sitting tall. 7 and 8, going in 1, 2. Palms together on 4. Elbows widening, hands sliding down, eyes lowering. Focusing. Fingers diving overhead, following. Laying the chest softly on the legs. Relax the neck. Right arm, elbow reaches for the ceiling, stretching the arm all the way through the fingertips.
Okay. Good.
Rhythm.
Now stepping forward with your right foot. Left. Right. Try to keep that swing going as you're stepping. Swing. Swing. Right. Good. Feel the weight of your feet dropping into the floor. Good. Drop. Feel swing. Very nice. Good. Swing.
It makes me think as I'm walking or I'm in the house.
I notice things more. I mean, things having to do with movement and with myself and other people.
That's why it's good for us, because it keeps the mind sharp. Yeah, it keeps the mind, what's that word? Sharp. Okay. Let's put both things together. So the embracing move, really imagine that you are dancing with a partner, even though you're dancing solo for this timing. So you're really wrapping your arms around someone, and you can feel their arms around you as well. Okay? We're going to open first. Here we go. And open. Embrace. Open circle. Embrace. Arms up 8. And embrace. Open circle. Embrace. Hold there for a second. Away from your hands. Now circling the right arm overhead. Taking your back with you. Other hand.
Group of friends that I love here.
Your outlets into the community, into friends and so forth are decreased. And this opens up a whole new perspective.
So we're going to play one of our favorite circle games, which is the name game. And as you know, we're going to go around, and each person is going to say his or her name and do a gesture or movement. It can be anything you want. David.
David.
Cat.
Judy. Richard.
Here we go. Arms open. Embrace. Open and embrace. Pull away from your partner. Arms down, arms up. And embrace. Open, circle, embrace. Pull, pull away. Arms come to rest for a moment. Right arm up and over. Excellent.
Right foot in and right touch, left touch, clapping with your right, left, right, and finding the elbow around. 2, 3, 4, stepping out. 6, finding home and repeating. Right foot in and 1, 2, and right touch, left touch, clap, 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 and down.
Well, I'm far from graceful, but I never was graceful even before the Parkinsons. And I think I'm approaching it a little bit as the time goes by.
It's aesthetic instead of functional.
Taking the t-shirt off, rolling up through the back. Pressing 1, 7, again, and scoop.
Keep the idea of a graceful carriage of the arms. And for instance, when they come up, feel free, not only do your arms open, but your heart opens here too. Go ahead and feel free to watch what you're doing or watch the world as you're doing it.
You're trying to imagine things in space that aren't there. We're going to start with one hand high and one hand low. So you want to imagine that they're on the same sheet of glass, right? But they're on opposite sides. So there's still this plane that's running up and down.
Here we go. And high, low, middle, change, circle, and 1. Good. And circle. Very nice. Up, meet, change, circle, and reverse. On a time, opening like a clock dial.
Think of your torso as being at the prow of a ship. You know what I'm saying? It's that kind of a move. So nice forward presenting chest. Okay? Let's try just that again. I won't narrate.
Nicely done. Good job.
In a dance class or a dance setting, just walking across the room to music becomes a more wonderful experience. It becomes heightened.
In class, I can try all kinds of movement and not feel self-conscious about it.
Gently gliding. Adding the kitty over the top. Reach high, curving low. Reaching away. 1, 2.
Free. Again. Turning around.
The students like a dramatic content to the movement.
I particularly like the ones where there's a storyline, where you sort of can anticipate what you're supposed to do next.
We're going to do a Sunday morning story. Here we go. Open away.
Rolling side and away.
Oh,
What time is it? Oh, it's late. And
turning on the light, getting the remote, and seeing what's happening in the world. This is from Dido and Aeneas. Off she visits this loved mountain. Off she bathes in this fountain. Again. Off she visits this loved mountain. Off she bathes in this fountain. Off she visits this loved mountain. Off she bathes in this fountain. Here, Actaeon met his fate. Here, Actaeon met his fate. Good, very nice. The next thing, which we'll do next week, involves wild dogs. So we're going to wait on that part. The atmosphere is devoid of fear. And once you release that, people are able to make up dances and to create expression spontaneously and do it without any hesitation.
It just goes to somewhere where we are primally and kind of hits that. We go, oh yeah, I really enjoy that. We're responding on that kind of sensory level. We're not analyzing.
Music, for most human beings, is the best way to organize and keep track of the passage of time.
It's very good to have the opportunity to enjoy the music and the body at the same time.
Feel the pulse, feel the rhythm. Touch out, we go out and in, out and in. We are open and shut.
Snap, step, snap, step, snap. Good. Still has the swing that we've been working on.
Yeah, it's not perfect, but often it's like taking an extra dose of medicine. The symptoms just sort of drop off during the class.
I imagine folks with Parkinson's are told pretty consistently a laundry list of things they cannot do or find difficult. And this class actually gives them permission for an hour and a half a week to be successful.
The thing that almost always makes me cry is passing the energy around the circle. That's my favorite thing.
Thank you so much.
I'm taking a little more time than I should have. So I'm going to have Ingrid come up and take the podium and present. And thank you all very much. I think we're going to have a question and answer.
Frank, I have till 10 till? Is that right? Okay. I'm Ingrid VaAAnrooy. I'm a PT from Avalon Care Center and Brighton Rehab. I'm excited to be here and be presenting about Parkinson's disease and exercise. It's been a passion of mine for the last couple years. I attended what's called Allied Team Training for Parkinson's disease in Chicago, which is a 5-day comprehensive training course for therapists as well as social workers, just kind of educating us on the best strategies for treating individuals with Parkinson's disease. And last spring, I actually attended a course over at Oregon Health Sciences University, focusing on treating balance strategies for patients, as well as utilizing exercise with a really unique exercise program that they've been researching. So kind of the direction of the presentation, I'm going to try to condense it a little bit here so I can get done so you guys have time to ask questions. But I'll talk very briefly about how Parkinson's disease impacts us or impacts individuals who have it, and how exercise can be beneficial for that. Research on exercise and how it's beneficial, as well as I was asked to talk specifically about exercise ideas or strategies that are helpful, so I'll try to get towards the end portions of it quickly. So what are the motor symptoms? Or those, and when I say motor symptoms, I mean things that I see in the clinic that are impacting, your ability to move. So resting tremor, rigidity, bradykinesia, which is basically that slowness of movement, hypokinesia, which is a decreased amplitude of movement, so movements become a lot smaller. You also have difficulties with coordination, so coordination becomes more challenging, as well as postural instability and balance deficits. So rigidity, what does that mean? Basically, that's just that stiffness and resistance to movement of a body part. So to summarize, you can see the individual in the slide. He's starting to kind of what we call forward flex. So his trunk has become more rigid. He has a harder time standing up nice and tall. You also have difficulty rotating at the trunk. Even something like getting up out of a chair, as the man is doing in the picture, becomes more challenging. Impaired turning and rolling, things that it does require a sequence of movements to do, become more difficult. And lastly, postural instability and balance. It's really hard for me to say, there's one deficit area because with balance, because it's impacted by so many systems of our body. It's impacted by our strength, neurological, connections. But what I think is most important to remember is often, especially with the postural part of that development of becoming more forward flexed, your center of mass, so basically where most of your mass is kind of actually behind you. And I like to show that picture of the rocks because I think it's a good example. If that rock was maybe pushed just a little bit further, it could easily fall backwards. You're kind of at the backward limit of your stability. And why that is so important is because 38% of individuals with Parkinson's disease fall each year. 18% of those result in fractures, which is a huge number and can be really devastating and really challenging to recover from. So, how can we slow or combat these symptoms? And, obviously there's medications out there, but from my perspective as a physical therapist, exercise is definitely something that we can do as well. So what are the benefits of exercise? There's actually been quite a bit of research been done in this area. There's obviously a lot more that needs to be done. But some of the findings, and I apologize, I don't have the sources for you, but I can get them if you email Cindy, I could get them for you. It has been shown to increase the development of blood vessels in the brain by increasing the removal of waste products. Balance exercise has been shown to increase the number of synapses or the connections formed in the brain. Aerobic exercise and questionably balance exercise can actually increase brain cell survival factors, which basically means that there's less cell death in the brain itself. It has been shown that it actually might increase the efficacy of levodopa, so it actually improves the efficiency of the dopamine use in your brain. So dopamine is that chemical that actually starts to decline with Parkinson's. So it actually becomes more efficient at using what's remaining. There's been a few studies to suggest that it might improve cognitive function. And then lastly, the two big areas that they're really focusing on in the research is if exercise is actually neuroprotective or neuroplastic, or creates neuroplastic change in the brain, which I'll talk about more specifically here. So what is neuroprotection exactly? The definition exactly is it's the mechanism as strategies used to protect against neuronal injury or degeneration. Basically, can exercise prevent a person from developing Parkinson's disease, prevent those changes in the brain? And they're actually showing that it might actually decrease a person's risk and possibly decrease the risk of the symptoms from progressing further as well. And can exercise cause what we call neuroplasticity within the brain, which if you look at the picture, basically, I think the best example is saying your brain is kind of like Play-Doh, and it has the ability to remodel, reorganize, and recover. So you have to do enough exercise that's intense, repetitive. The task has to be very specific. It has to be challenging for you in order to actually see that change. Now, it is important for me to remind you that most of these studies have been done on mice, so of course. So, you know, there's still a lot of research to be done in this area, but it is suggesting that, like I mentioned, it does improve the efficiency of dopamine usage, and that early intervention is critical. So you really need to start exercising early, and that you need to keep going, you need to not stop. They're not sure, you know, how much exercise you need to do, how long you need to do it, but they have shown results when patients do continue to exercise. So even if I don't get through the rest of my presentation, I think the biggest take-home is that you can make a difference in the course of your disease by what you choose to do. So utilizing exercise to help improve, you know, how you're able to manage your disease. So talking briefly, I was asked to give some examples of exercises, and it's really challenging as a therapist for me to say, you know, to give a group of people exercise prescriptions, because exercise is so specific and I don't know, you know, health history. However, to give you at least some idea of where to start, I will go into a little more detail, but please speak with your MD or physical therapist before beginning any exercise regimen. So areas to consider, things I like to consider before prescribing an exercise program. I like to consider, as I mentioned initially, what areas someone's having difficulty with. So posture and core strengthening, trunk mobility. Like to think about relaxation strategies. Forced use, or what I mean by that is finding an activity that's making you do something that you're not normally doing. Balance. And then if I have time, freezing and bradykinesia, which is an area a lot of people have difficulty with and want some tips on how to improve. So I'll just go through, I think, one example on each of these. So for the posture and core strengthening, as I mentioned, you tend to end up in a more forward flex position. So just like in the dance video, working on posture is really important. So the examples that I give are corner stretch, bird dogs, and dancing. So any activity that's going to really focus on getting you more upright is really important. The first one is a corner stretch, and hopefully these pictures will do it justice. Basically, you're standing about 12 to 14 inches from a corner, shoulders, up about 90 degrees, and just allowing gravity to bring you forward. Now, obviously, if you have shoulder issues or, a wide variety of things, you might not be able to do this, but it just helps work on stretching those pectoral muscles as well as keeping you in a more upright position. So I'm going to breeze through that one. Trunk mobility. So as I mentioned, you become more rigid and have more difficulty moving your trunk and your hips in opposite directions. And I love the dance video because actually there's so many things that it was doing that I would have my patients doing as well. So focusing on activities that make you separate movements. One is, I'll show you a picture of trunk rotation and hook lying, basically a fancy name for laying down and turning your hips in the opposite direction. Kayaking motions, or just even working on rolling in bed. So this is the trunk rotation and hook line. Basically, the woman on the mat, if you can see her, her knees are bent, and she's rotating them to one side, and then her shoulders are flat on the mat, and her head is rotating in the opposite direction. And I'll just kind of go through these. An area that I often forget but is very important is focusing on some relaxation strategies. Relaxation can help decrease stress, improve sleep, as well as counteract rigidity. Great, group exercises that are out there, or you can do them individually, might be yoga or Tai Chi. Forced use. This is an area I just wanted to talk about because I know a lot of times people like to go to the gym and walk on the treadmill or do some biking. And there's been quite a few studies done on treadmill training. In 2010, I think they did a review of the literature where they looked at 8 different studies that had individuals on a treadmill. So treadmills obviously make you walk maybe a little faster than you normally would. And it showed that it actually improved stride length, so how big of steps they had, their speed, their confidence, and walking distance. And they also found that they had decreased falls when they did a balance test afterwards. And like I said before, the research isn't quite sure how long these results will last and if you have to continue to keep moving. And then there's also been some interesting studies done at the Cleveland Clinic on tandem bicycling. So they had individuals basically ride a bike with a partner that was much faster, which forced them to go at faster speeds. And they actually noted some improvement in PD symptoms. So obviously probably a lot of you out there don't have a tandem bike, but even like maybe a spinning bike at the gym or something like that actually keeps you moving at a faster pace. Balance, kind of like I mentioned, Tai Chi is great for relaxation, but it also helps you work on improving your limits of stability, so how far you can shift, your improved perception of your posture. So it really helps you focus on where you're at in space, taking larger steps. Lunges, as the woman in the picture is doing, is a great example of something you can do as long as your knees will tolerate it. So I'm just going to go into my last slide here, basically combining it all together. And this is from the course I took over at OHSU. And this is what I based the exercise class that I teach on. They basically came up with 6 different exercise techniques focused on 6 different areas that individuals with Parkinson's disease have difficulty with. And they had those individuals do these activities for 10 minutes. And I don't know if the study's been published yet, but they've actually shown really great results with it. And it gives it a little variety. I think walking on a treadmill can be fun for somebody, but boring for someone else. And it doesn't always challenge all those areas you might have difficulty with. So I think finding, a couple different things that you enjoy doing that might challenge different areas is important. So what they did is they actually included 10 minutes of Tai Chi, 10 minutes of a kayaking exercise, so just seated in a chair. 10 minutes of an agility course, which was supposed to help with freezing, so doing things like high knees, lateral shuffle, so like they did in the video, the grapevine activity, actually kind of marching through doorways, which can cause freezing. Boxing, which I'm sure many of you out there don't box, but just simple, it helps you anticipate movement, so just simple jabs or cross hooks. Lunges as well. And then lastly, they did some pre-Pilates type activity, so like that when I showed that the woman lying on her back, where she's working on rolling her legs side to side, getting on all fours, activities like that, so a lot of stretching involved. There's really no wrong way to exercise. Some ways might be more efficient and effective than others. I think the biggest take-home is you want to get moving. Get yourself out there and get moving. So in summary, the motor symptoms of PD can be very challenging and frustrating. Exercise can prevent disease progression. Your exercise program should be specific to your needs and challenging, and you can make a difference in the course of your disease by what you choose to do. So I'll give one last little plug for it's just a free exercise class we offer every Tuesday at Avalon Care Center. It's a great opportunity to come out and exercise with other people. It's actually based on that last study that I talked about, so involves a variety of different exercises, so hopefully it's not too boring. So that's it. Thank you.
You can leave that one up there.
Okay, perfect.
They can see it when they. Okay, perfect. Terry and Ingrid, thanks so much. Excellent information. the dance was really kind of fun. I also, at the end, like that circle part. I thought that was pretty powerful. Like you said, it was kind of all brought it all together, and great ideas on the exercise. As always, folks, you can turn your microphones back on. It's time for Q&A. As we always do, we'll call you by sight, and if you would, please provide the number that are in attendance today at each of the sites so we can take note of that. Thank you so much. And so with that being said, we'd like to start with our friends in Anchorage, Alaska. Do you have any questions today?
I do have a question.
You do have a question?
Yep. I want to know, does exercise help with atypical forms of Parkinson's?
Yes, definitely. I mean, it needs to be geared towards, your specific deficit areas. I think the research, they try to focus mostly on individuals with Parkinson's just to have the sample size more, how would I say, similar, I guess. But definitely it can as well. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And can you tell me, are you familiar with big and loud Lisa movement training?
Yes.
Is that difficult to master, or if we were detoxifying and going outside to do that, would that be a big thing for them to have to undertake?
You mean
for trying to get somebody to teach that to us? Is it difficult to get
to get the certification?
Yeah.
The training isn't difficult. I know it's held around the nation. It's I believe it's a 2-day course. It's kind of pricey, and it would involve some travel. But that would be all it requires. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And how many were in attendance today in Anchorage, please?
We had 14 today.
Oh, thank you for joining us.
We had a little trouble with our video.
Okay.
Oh, hello. We had a little trouble with our video. Are we going to be able to order this at a later date so that we could watch it again?
Well, this should be recorded on the DVD as well, right, Richard? Yeah, so if you want to get a copy of the DVD, it should be on there.
Okay, thank you very much. It was interesting. Thank you.
I'll have to ask.
Okay.
There's a possibility that.
Okay. Well, we'll work it from our DVD that we record. Okay. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you all being there. Let's go to OMAC Mid Valley. Any questions, please? We can always come back to you. All right, Billings, Montana.
There are 8 of us, and we don't have any questions, but would the presenter please repeat the question, because the video you keep cutting out every so often.
Thank you. Great recommendation. We'll be sure to do that. Walla Walla.
No questions and one person.
Thank you for attending. Clarkston, Tri-State Memorial.
Excellent. Excuse me. Excellent presentation. We really enjoyed it. Are there DVDs available that one could do some dance work with? Something to watch and train yourself?
That's a really good question. What we're trying to do is develop a program where we can do like a teleconferencing class, and that's in the process. There isn't a DVD class available, partly because Brooklyn Parkinson's Group requires a certified teacher to be present, but we're going to try to do the taping process to be able to extend it to communities. So that's our goal.
Okay, we'd be interested in that. We have 14 in attendance.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Tenasket, North Valley Hospital. Any questions? Okay. Coeur d'Alene, Kootenai Medical Center.
We've got 16 in attendance and no questions.
All right, thank you for joining us. Great to have you. Okay, Ritzville, East Adams Rural Hospital. Any questions, folks? Okay, if we miss you, you can always come back to us. Colville, Providence Mount Carmel Hospital.
Hi, great presentations. We have 4 in attendance, and I have 2 questions.
Okay, please.
The first question is, can we have the address of the Avalon Care Center?
Sure. I don't know if you can still see the PowerPoint.
No.
No? Okay. It's 9827 North Nevada.
That's good. We know where that is.
And then the best thing to do is also give us a phone call at 509-468-7000 so that we know you're coming and we can be on the list.
Great. Thank you so much. And the second question is, we were wondering if Dr. VaAAnrooy's PowerPoint is available.
Yes, I'm going to actually be emailing that to Cindy so she can get it to you. Right, Cindy?
That would be great. Thank you.
Thank you for your questions. Appreciate it. Pullman Regional Hospital. Any questions out there? Okay. Grangeville. Syringa General Hospital. Alrighty. Pendleton Public Library. Okay. Let's go to Kirkland Evergreen Healthcare.
Question? I have a question. The chart that you showed of the different exercises, is that available? The agility exercise program chart?
It is available in a research article. I can probably get that to Cindy as well, if you're interested.
Oh, great. I would like that.
Okay.
And we have 2 here in Kirkland.
Oh, thank you so much. And just as a reminder, any questions that you have or some of the resources that our speakers referred to today, feel free to contact the Parkinson's Center and talk to Cindy, okay? And we'll have that information available to you at the end. All right, Moses Lake Samaritan Healthcare.
There are 4 of us here today. And I'd just like to comment that I thought the music associated with dance was stimulating and very appropriate. Thank you.
Very much. Just lucky I wasn't playing the piano. Okay, thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. All right, Miles City, Montana.
Yes, sir. There's 6 of us in attendance.
Wonderful.
And we would also be interested in that DVD music, something that we could do on our own. And also we have a gentleman here that has heard that coconut oil. Is coconut oil good for rigidity in Parkinson's? Anybody know that?
I don't think that
Never heard.
We're capable of answering the question at this time.
Yeah, I was going to say the wrong program, but we just wondered if anybody had heard something, you know.
Not that we're aware of at this point in time.
Well, coconut oil is a little hard to get in Montana anyway, you know, but we could use it.
It's just a state of mind, right?
Yeah, exactly. But very good presentation. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Okay, let's please move to our Spokane audience and see if there's any questions here in Spokane. Please feel free to raise your hand. Well, I'll ask a question. How about I start with that? Ingrid, this gets to your presentation when you talked about exercise and being specific to the individual. Do they have some general guidelines on how often they should be doing exercise, whatever they choose to do, to get the benefit?
Yeah, I mean, there really isn't, like I said, the studies none of them are similar as far as how often they exercise. I think in the tandem biking, it was 3 times a week for an hour. Typically, guidelines are, 3 to 5 times a week for 30 minutes to an hour. So there's nothing specific yet. That's definitely where the research needs to go.
Okay. And as always, you need to always talk to your physician before you undertake any exercise programs. And one other question to you, Ingrid, the treadmill, I found that interesting. Do most of the patients require assistance, or should that be a good guideline to follow to make sure as far as falls and things like that?
Right. So some of the studies actually use like a body weight, like a harness type system. So obviously you need to be careful if you're doing the activity, utilizing the handrails if you need them. I mean, that's where the physician and physical therapist comes in. It's hard to give a general recommendation, but some of the studies that they did utilize have people in harnesses so that they can actually walk faster in a safer environment. So.
Okay. Any other questions that folks have? Okay, very good. Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Hello.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Really?
I was wondering if a person had been in physical therapy for a year and a half with Parkinson's, why would they not improve?
Well, I would hope that they would. I would question, I guess it depends on what specifically they're working on and what, if you're not noticing any improvement, I would wonder why, they're still continuing. But it's possible that, they're working on something. I don't know if you haven't discussed your goals with your therapist, or, that might be something to discuss. Does that answer your question? I don't know if it's specific to you or to somebody else.
Yeah, I was in therapy for a year and a half, and it just didn't seem, it seemed like I got to a certain level and did not get any further.
And that might be possible. It might, you might have gotten as far as you could with a specific kind of program. Parkinson's is a progressive disease, and we like to think that exercise can change everything. Sometimes there's other factors that need to be factored in as well. So.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Terry and Ingrid for your time today. Both terrific programs and are benefiting many, many patients out there. So thanks so much for your dedication to that. So if you join me in a round of applause, please. And as always, you get Parky, our master. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, well, again, thank you, everybody. Next month, and the date to mark your calendar, is Monday, April the 9th. And this program will be coming from, I believe, from Evergreen, okay, out of the west side, as we call it here on the east side. And the speaker will be Dr. James Leverens. Dr. Leverens is an associate professor in the University of Washington Department of Neurology and Department of Psychiatry and Behavioral Sciences. So as you can imagine, the topic is going to be Parkinson's. And I'm assuming, I didn't have all the detail, but about therapy, did we get any more? Okay. So again, April the 9th, same bat time, same bat station, so to speak. And again, if you have any questions about the information today or want to access any of the resources, please do contact Cindy at the Parkinson's Resource Center. And again, our website you can go to is www.spokaneparkinsons.org, or you can call us at the office at area code 509-473-2490. Now, I have one last announcement for the folks in Spokane or surrounding communities that want to join us. As you know, there's always lots of opportunities for events to raise resources for Parkinson's for all of you out there. We've got one coming up on March the 26th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. And our gracious friends at South Perry Pizza are going to have an event. It's all the pizza you can eat and refreshments if you like, things like beer, whatever. But if you have friends that want to attend, it is a write-off for them, and it's $30 per person, okay, and all the proceeds for the most part will go to the Parkinson's Resource Center. So we thank you in advance if you'd like to attend, and always for supporting us. So with that, please travel safe, God bless, and have a great evening.